Hello, Rangers fans. Great to be with you tonight. Thank you so much for joining us here on Rangers Facebook. I'm Dave Raymond. Very excited to welcome you into our first Facebook Live Caravan Chat of 2021, presented by the good folks at Comerica Bank. And I hope you all have enjoyed your happy and, most importantly, healthy holiday season. We are getting ready for baseball season, and that has us excited here with the Rangers, and hopefully you as well. This year, things are going to be a little bit different during the Caravan season. It's all going to be virtual for obvious reasons. And we just want to welcome you for these next 5 Wednesdays, 7 o'clock, right here on Rangers Facebook. We'll be hosting these Caravan Chats with players and coaches and all kinds of Rangers baseball personnel. Tonight, we have a great opening show lined up for you. Very excited to be talking to Kyle Gibson and Jordan Lyles, both of whom will be in the starting rotation for the Rangers this year. And of course, the manager himself, Chris Woodward, will be joining us a little later on as well. So let's just get to it. Kyle, Jordan, great to see you guys. Great to be able just to have now an ad-lib conversation about your offseason. So why don't we just start with it? Kyle, the holiday season's kind of winding down. Was it dramatically different for you this year?
Hey, Dave, good talking with you. It was different. This part of the country here in Missouri has had a little bit of a COVID tick up a little bit. So a couple family members close to us ended up coming up positive. So we had to shift and change everything around. So we actually haven't celebrated Christmas with some of our family yet because we're still in the quarantine. So thankfully, my wife and I and my kids are negative, but we had to mix things up a little bit and do New Year's and everything different. But it gave us a chance to do a little tailgate party on Christmas Day and do things a little bit different that only 2020 could provide. So it was good, though. Thanks.
Yeah, well, good. I read a story a while ago about Christmases when you were a kid. You had a lot of family around you, I think, growing up, right? Really close. Is it that way? You have a lot of relatives right nearby?
Yeah, so it's a little different because my mom and dad's side are in Indiana, and we're over here by St. Louis. But my wife's family is massive, so we have a lot of family, and most of those family get-togethers were postponed with the aunts and uncles because of COVID. But lots of family around here, and we line up the schedule from day to day to get everybody in.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's the best way to do it, as we all know.
No doubt.
Harder as you become an adult and start your own family sometimes to keep close to everybody. But Jordan, what about you? What did the holidays look like for you this year?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a lot different, but for me, with my family, I spent Thanksgiving and we had an early Christmas with my 4 brothers and my parents. We did that, and then I came over here to Colorado, where my fiance is from, and we did a Christmas with them. Just the immediate family, and tried to make it as normal as possible. But obviously, everything's different, as everyone knows. But overall, got to see a lot of people, maybe from a distance, but still we're able to sit down, have a meal or two together, and that was really nice.
Yeah. All right, great. Well, as you point out, is a little different. Everything's a little different. Last season was a little different. So what about the off seasons? Are you guys trying to treat this off season? We'll start with you, Jordan. I mean, are you trying to treat this the same as off seasons past? Are you making tweaks in anticipation of what this year may be?
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna try and keep it as normal as possible. Like I said, I'm back and forth between South Carolina and Colorado, so I have 2 different setups with 2 different groups of people and players that I work out with. And but throwing wise, I mean, the biggest thing for me going into every spring training is to build up and be healthy going into spring training. I don't have a set number of bullpens I like to get in every off season, but a month prior to the season or to spring training, I like to get off the mound at least once, maybe twice a week. I'm in that phase right now, just once a week, and hopefully we get some good news, some news on paper or it gets finalized, and we're able to make plans to head down to Surprise. But for right now, just once a week off the mound, and just keeping the arm as active as I can.
Okay, you bring up a really good point, and in fortuitous luck that we happen to have the player rep from the ball club with us today too. So Kyle, as the player representative to the union, where are we? What is the status of spring training? Is it going to be in Arizona? Would we expect that? Will it be on time? What should poor Jordan do to prepare for the season?
Well, I mean, I think there's some details that might still be up in the air, but our CBA lays it out, pretty clear, the dates and the MLB and the players have agreed upon to start spring training and then to start the season. And from what I'm seeing, I don't think there's any desire right now to move those. I think MLB just came out with a statement the other day about planning to be on time for spring training and for the season. And then we'll kind of deal with the no fans or fans coming in as vaccinations happen. I think there's a lot of questions up in the air when it comes to the vaccine and how many people are going to be able to get it, and then when they can come into the game. So hopefully MLB will decide kind of what they want to do with that. But players, I think we're all planning on being there on time and being ready to play. Last year we dealt with a lot of protocols and we played 60 games under probably a little bit worse conditions maybe as COVID was going through the summer. Now this winter, who knows what's going to happen, as flu season kicks up and stuff like that as well. But for right now, we feel like we have the protocols to be able to go into spring training and go into season and to be able to play until the vaccinations can be, given out to as many players as want it. So, I think we're ready to go and everybody should be looking forward to hopefully at least watching some spring training games on TV from Surprise or Texas or whatever they decide to do.
Yeah. How, looking back now at last year, what a whirlwind, right? Because we started under normal conditions and it very quickly changed. How, in retrospect, how weird does it seem the way last season played out, or maybe how used to it did you get by the end?
It was weird. I mean, I think the unknown, toward the end of spring training before we broke up was probably the weirdest part. We essentially, left spring training with just agreeing to say, hey, we'll see you whenever we can see you. And it was pretty open-ended, and I don't think anybody was really that comfortable with it, either on MLB side or the player side, because we had no idea what the pandemic was going to look like, just 3 or 4 weeks into what we thought. So, but I think the biggest thing that everybody did, and I feel like, we were really good at it, was just making adjustments to the protocols as you had to do it. We started out with, a little bit less mask restriction. And then as the season went on and we had some cases pop up, we got more strict on that, and everybody adapted and you move on and you deal with it, because at the end of the day, everybody wants to play games and everybody wants to give the best product as possible on the field for the fans to be able to watch on TV, watch in the stadium, whatever it is. And if we weren't following the protocols, then we weren't going to get to do that. So I think everybody adjusted really well, and hopefully we can start this year maybe with those protocols and then kind of see how the vaccine is going to go and then get fans back in the stands, because the game's always better with fans in the stands.
Yeah. To that point then, Jordan, for you, by the end of the year, did you start to feel, more comfortable? Did it start to feel normal for you? And how big a difference is it without fans there? I mean, that just seemed bizarre to me at times.
Yeah, I mean, nothing about last year was normal or nothing that any one of us would have ever imagined. Just starting the season with no fans. A lot of people like to focus on the 3 hours of game time where there's no fans in the stands, but your whole day and your whole season is different. Like you don't see any workers in the stadiums. You don't see people in the stands for BP. Like, it was quiet for 2 months for us. Like there's no one heckling you. There's no one to say hello to. Like, people under the tunnels, the workers trying to get ready for a game at 7 o'clock. I mean, a lot of people don't think of that. That was weird, just being silent for 2 months, so to speak. I think that's the biggest thing. Just a constant 60 days worth of it being quiet. And then obviously during the games with the artificial noise, it just doesn't compete with what I saw in the playoffs in the World Series, from what people look like and sound like in that stadium. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully we can things start moving quickly in the right direction, and we're able to put people in the stands.
I'll tell you guys, I didn't know exactly what to expect from our conversation today, but 2021 is off to a good start, because what I heard very clearly in your answers was how much you missed the media and the team broadcasters. And that's heartwarming. That's heartwarming for me. I really, I love it. I love it. But speaking of the fans, part of what we wanted to do is take questions from the fans. So we solicited folks to come up with a few things for you. Some of these are, straightforward, and some of them might require you to think a little bit differently. So I want to start with Jacob Starnes, at Jacob Starnes, pinged us with a question. And so kind of to your point there, Jordan, is after a season at the new ballpark, what is your favorite thing about it?
Just the endless resources inside the stadium. Back what we get to witness in the training room. Like I said, the endless resources back there, all the different and nice things that can help us kind of improve when we're not on the field. And then, everything's just so nice. I remember one time, us starters, we took a little stroll during the game. Probably weren't supposed to, but we made our way, and we wanted to see the ballpark for ourselves. And it was breathtaking. Everything was just brand new, obviously brand new, and just so nice. So much space. Even the rocking chairs up in left field. That was one of my favorites. That's a good way to spend 3 hours for sure. I can go on and on, but just how nice it is.
Were both of you, like Kyle, were you in that rocking chair contingent on that one game? Unfortunately, got caught on television, and then
that was. I'm gonna have to come up with a new answer, because that was actually part of my answer as well. Just the different views. I think it's a stadium that fans are really gonna like. I think we got in trouble that day because we were going to areas that hadn't been sanitized and cleaned, and they didn't want us in it. But the inning and a half that it lasted while we were sitting in the giant rocking chairs was enough for me to realize that my back or front porch needs to have those rocking chairs. So I need to go back up there, figure out which company it was, and get those ordered for next off season because I'm going to need those for sure. But yeah, I think the fans are really going to love just taking a stroll around and checking it all out because it's got a lot of cool views.
Yeah. Those rocking chairs are really sweet. We did the same thing. We explored a little bit when we had opportunities as well, and I can't blame you. I was wondering, because I did get a look down there before everything got shut down, and so I saw the nap room. I know there's like a light therapy room. There are a number of different parts of the facility that are, as you point out, Jordan, meant for recovery or just to enhance abilities and everything. Was it all ready to go? Were there some things that, like the nap rooms as an example, did you guys even get to use those, or some areas that just didn't, pan out last year?
Yeah, for the recovery room, yeah, everything was ready to go. I'm not sure. There's so many things back there behind our clubhouse that so many new technologies that I'm not aware of. I need someone to personally teach me those things so I can incorporate those in my weekly routine in between starts. There's just things I've never heard of, I've seen of. So I'm not sure if they were up and running or not because I was too afraid to touch them or even look at them. But there's just so many things going on, so many things that the Texas Rangers have supplied their players with, and I look forward to learning and knowing more about those things.
Yeah, it is pretty ridiculous, and one day I'd like to just get a map so that I know where all of it is. It's pretty expansive down there. All right, another question for both of you from CM Texan. At CM Texan wrote in with the question, what about a favorite ballpark for you guys to pitch in? Is there a favorite for
you? That's a tough one. I think the one that I haven't had a chance to throw in a whole lot because they weren't in the same division in Minnesota, but Boston up there in Fenway is probably one of my favorite. had the chance to have a couple good outings, and I think that probably adds to it a little bit. You're never going to pick a place that you don't throw well in, so had a chance to face them when they were going really good, and have a couple competitive outings, and nothing like those fans. You want to talk about fans who are getting on you and heckling you. I don't know that there's anybody closer to you when you're warming up for a game. I mean, you can almost like feel them breathing and feeling them, spitting out their nachos at you when they're yelling at you. But it's a cool atmosphere, and that's one of my favorite places to play.
Jordan?
Yeah, actually, Fenway's I think might be the only stadium I haven't thrown a pitch in. I've been to all of them. I just didn't make a start that series. But I spent a lot of time in the National League West and San Diego. That Petco's one of my favorites. I grew up a Braves fan, and when they switched over from Turner Field to their new ballpark, that's top of the line, nice as well. St. Louis, it's a bigger ballpark for pitchers, great atmosphere, along with, as Kyle was saying, Fenway fans. St. Louis Cardinals fans they know what's going on each and every day, each and every inning. But those are some that probably at the top of my list, just thinking quickly.
Yeah, along the same lines, the whole ballpark now, I think largely we felt like it was kind of pitcher friendly. And we played the great majority of those games with the roof closed. When I watched the postseason, the roof was open, and it looked like the air was moving pretty dramatically throughout the ballpark, and it didn't look maybe as pitcher friendly as it had during the regular season. What do you guys make of the pitching conditions for you at Globe Life Field?
I think you nailed it. I think when the roof is open, depending on what's going on outside, the wind is going to swirl and the ball is going to fly a little bit. Now with the roof closed, I think you have from bullpen to bullpen, it's extremely pitcher friendly. Down the lines, I'd say it's probably fair. The big wall in right field might not be quite as fair when it kind of jets out there, but it'll be interesting to see as the place settles a little bit. I know I never believed in Minnesota. They talked about the concrete drying and all this stuff, and before you knew it, in 2016, 17, 18, when the place had been 7 years old, the ball started going everywhere. And I don't know what it is, but I'm sure there'll be a little bit of that. And then as the wind patterns actually start to really settle in, you'll kind of see how it flies a little bit. But I see it being pitcher friendly, probably more so with the roof closed.
Jordan?
Yep, same way. I think a big indicator is just during BP, like when you're shagging out in the outfield, you can just tell when balls kind of die in the gaps. It didn't necessarily play out that way for me this year. I mean, they found their ways over the
yes,
the
they
fence.
did.
But overall, it's more of a pitcher's park. 2021 will be different for Kyle and I.
That's what we're hoping, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, this is an important question. This comes from @NotBumpWills, and he asks, "What would chairs look like if our knees face the opposite direction?" So, whomever wants to start this one.
I'm sitting here trying to imagine if my knees went backwards. I don't know that we would need them. We would be kneeling the whole time.
Yeah, that's a good point. You'd be sitting on your knees.
You would just have a backstop. That's all you do. You just need, because you got to have a backrest. Let's be honest. Like, we don't need to have back trouble and knee trouble. So you kneel and then you get a backrest, something like that, I'd say. Or maybe you'd have those things that you would slide your legs in and it would hold you up through your thighs. I don't know. I'm getting a little bit out there now, but that's maybe you slide
this
into
question
something
before.
Like those little baby swings that you put.
Yeah.
That's it for sure. Well, I got one of those in my basement. I might try it out. Let's see.
I think that's a very solid idea. All right, from all things Rangers, favorite TikTok dance. Well, maybe we'll let Jordan start this one since you.
Yeah, it's gonna be a short start and stop. I don't know much or anything about TikTok, so I see a couple of NFL players do it on Sundays and in their end zone dance, but I'm a little too old, I guess. I don't know.
All right.
I'm not on TikTok either, but I've seen the one where they like you either clap or you turn the light on and off or whatever, and then the people switch outfits and they switch what they're doing. I think that one's pretty cool when you got like a father son or a mother daughter combo who switches outfits and is doing something different. I think that's pretty cool.
All right. All right. Well done. You guys passed probably the toughest portion of the test. There is one extra question. This is specifically for Kyle, although I don't see why Jordan can't jump in this one as well. This is from TX Rangers fan 78. Kyle, do you like Whataburger?
Oh my, this is
I just thought about that. I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, what a question. I grew up in the Midwest where Whataburger was not a very existent. Let's just be honest. There's no Whataburgers in the Midwest. So maybe it just hasn't quite grown on me as much as some people from, Texas and maybe out West. But I believe that I have to be a little bit careful with what I eat right now with my stomach. So I don't even eat that much red meat or burgers in general. I love Five Guys. Five Guys is kind of my Midwest chain here, but I don't even really eat Five Guys anymore just because of the grease and the not really knowing how it's cooked. So unfortunately, burger chains have been excluded from my ulcerative colitis diet the last couple of years. It kills me to say it, but got to do it.
Yeah, understood. Jordan, you pro Whataburger?
Oh yeah. Actually, I made a couple stops in Corpus Christi and Round Rock, and so give me a double meat.
Apparently, Jose Trevino says there's no better Whataburger than Corpus Christi. So at least I guess that's where he's from. So I mean, he says better. I did see online that apparently it's triple the price down there. So I mean, I don't understand why a Whataburger is different in one place or another, but it's more expensive in one place or another. But I have no idea. I had it sitting on my chair one day, Dave, on the plane, and got pressured into taking a few bites, and I had a decent start 2 days later. So everybody thought that it was the Whataburger. So if I can get my stomach to handle the Whataburger, then maybe that'll be the kick.
That might be it. That might be it. I had one today in Fort Worth, and I will say it seemed better than the ones that I get other places. So maybe there's Corpus Christi bit. Guys, thanks a lot. It was great just to see you, for crying out loud, to be able to talk a little bit. And we're not going to let 2021 deprive you of the access to us that you had to endure last year. We're going to find a way this year to spend a little more time with you guys, hopefully. But thanks so much, and we're really looking forward to seeing you guys soon.
Sounds good, Dave. Thanks.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Well, now for the big part of the show. We bring in the superstar himself, the manager, Chris Woodward. Woody, thank you for taking a little time with us tonight. It's been a long time coming. Can we talk a little baseball finally?
Please do. I'm looking forward to that. Definitely.
All right, let's start with non-baseball. We're coming out of the holiday season. I know your wife, Erin, is very involved, in the medical field and taking care of people dealing with the current pandemic. But what do the holidays look like for you? How's this off season been compared to years past?
Pretty quiet, to be honest with you. I think in the past, I definitely went back and forth. The first 2 years I was in Texas, I went back and forth, obviously to Texas quite a bit. And this year I haven't really traveled. So it's been kind of nice being at home. Obviously we can do a lot of things on Zoom as an organization. We've had a lot to do from an organizational standpoint. But we, like I said, there's a new way to do it. So a lot of Zoom calls early on, especially after the season, but a lot of family time since then. We didn't do much for the holidays. We kind of stayed put and kind of did it on our own. But, I feel like we're trying to be as vigilant as we can. We've actually gone out to dinner a couple of times outside, pretty much the whole family has had COVID, unfortunately. So, I know my wife, she works in the ER and, she's working with COVID patients nonstop. So she tries to obviously educate our friends and family as much as possible to let them know of the concerns that she has, that she sees every day. But overall been pretty quiet, coaching my son's team. My wife's a manager, so just helping out there as much as I possibly can.
All right. Pardon me for asking a personal question, but have you had it then? Have you dealt with?
I did. Yeah. I got it shortly. I think it was early November. And it wasn't that bad. I mean, I was sick for a couple of days, for really bad for, the first day. I don't get sick hardly ever. I haven't had the flu in I don't know how many years. So, it was pretty rough for the first, 48 hours. And I think after that was just more of the things that most people complain about. I didn't lose my, sense of smell or taste as much. My wife did, but I did not. So, I'm kind of grateful that I got through it, healthy. Obviously, some of us in the family got it and stayed healthy, but it's no joke. I mean, that's one thing, hearing the stories from my wife. If I didn't have my wife, I wouldn't know, I mean, but I do. And I hear her, tell the stories, and it's pretty harrowing, some of these stories, and some of the stories she doesn't tell me because it's too heartbreaking.
Okay. Well, pivoting then to something a little more pleasant, a little more fun. I've been involved in a number of Zooms in the last year with you, and a lot of times you've got a creative kind of virtual background that you'll use. And this is the first time I've seen you in your new office that Aaron did for you last year while you were out, working during the summer. It's awesome looking, by the way. And it looks like, I'm not real sure, is there a picture back there of you in a fight in one of those?
No, so one time I actually did something good in my career, and it was like a home plate. I had a walk-off homer. So yeah, my wife did an amazing job. I had nothing to do with this. Like I was telling you before, our old house, you would never know that I played or coached or managed or did anything like that. But she put it all together, and it's a little humbling at times, kind of look around and see the pictures that she got. But yeah, there was me getting mobbed at home plate.
Well, it's lovely to have somebody who cares enough to make a little homage like that. Like my wife has done for me. We've put a lot of my bigger accomplishments back here on this wall, and I come here sometimes just to feel good about myself. So anyway, let's talk some real baseball now, Woody. A weird year last year. Did you ever get used to it? Was there ever a point in the season where you felt like maybe you personally were at least in a rhythm with the weird style that we were having to deal with everything?
Yeah, I think so. I think there was a little bit of we got used to the protocols and just, every other day having to test and do those things. I didn't want to get used to that. I don't think anybody did. I think it was difficult for a lot of reasons, and there's no excuse, obviously, to not perform well. But, last year was a difficult year for a number of reasons. It just wasn't the COVID. It wasn't just the protocols. It was so many other factors that made it difficult. But, glad to get through it. Obviously, we're all still standing. We finished on a strong note, which, I was really proud of our guys, especially our players, for just kind of grinding through it. And at the other end, we learned a lot. We learned a lot, from a staff standpoint on things that we need to improve on. Players learned a lot of things about how do we improve. Our new ballpark, I think, was, eye-opening for a lot of us to, we need to change some of the things that, from a philosophical standpoint, and how we approach the game. And, we got to get better. And I think that's something that, our staff, myself, JD, bringing on CY, our front office, everybody's on board with. And, the players have been really hungry in their workouts in this offseason. We've had some really good additions, obviously bringing David Dahl, trading for Dane Dunning. Like, those are some really good moves for us for the future. But I'm really excited. It's a positive group. They're hungry. They want to learn. They're intelligent players, and I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, there has been no shortage of change in this organization since you've come on board, right? I mean, we've changed the way we look at a lot of things, do a lot of things, and now again, big personnel changes this off season. Are you feeling like we're getting to a place where a lot of the processes are, established and you're pretty comfortable? Are we still pushing the envelope a little bit? Where are you with all that?
Yeah, I am pretty comfortable with that. I think there's a pretty good understanding of the expectations when they walk through those doors. But we're always trying to up those. We're always trying to get those to a higher standard. And I think, for myself personally and, for our staff and honestly, like I said, our core group of players, they get it. They get it and they understand what it's going to take. And, I'm going to keep pushing them. We're not going to stop. But I think, from an organizational standpoint, we've made a lot of adjustments. We've made a lot of upgrades. Our ownership has been, I can't say enough about what they've done to provide us with some of these resources. They spend a ton of money in providing resources for our players and our staff. So at the end of the day, we have no excuse. We have no excuse to improve. And I'm not saying that that's going to, equate to us winning the division next year, or, what that means as far as numbers go, wins. And, listen, I want to win. I hate losing. So, and I think a lot of people in the organization feel the same way. So I love having no excuses. I want to up our expectations every year. And I think this core group of younger guys represents that. I think they're going to improve, and they have to prove that, though. I think that's the biggest thing. Nothing's going to be given or handed to any of these guys. It's going to be a meritocracy. They're going to come in and earn their spot, earn their job, earn their bats, earn their innings, all those things. So I like where we're at. We just got to go out and get it done now.
All right. Well, part of this is that we want to solicit questions from the viewers and the fans who are watching along, and we've done a little bit of that in advance. And so a question I was going to follow up with was actually on the list. So the Sun King 11 wanted to know then, what gives you the most hope and optimism about your prospects in the American League West here for 2021?
I think just honestly, like, we're a young team. And the one thing that I think I get the most excited about, and I don't care that we're young, and I think I've talked to many of our players about this, usually you equate being young as inexperienced, which is going to lead to loss. You're going to lose. You're not going to be able to execute as much. You're not going to be consistent. But there's also a lot of factors of being young that give us an advantage. We have never-ending, endless amount of energy, hope, optimism. We got a ton of growth, and that's what we have to see. And I think that's, if you're going to measure our team next year, and listen, I hope we win 100 games. All things considered, we probably won't. And I'm not saying that for a lack of talent, just, obviously we have to improve. All of our players individually and then as a group, we have to improve. And if we do that, you will see growth. You will see we have a lot of room for growth and a lot of room for improvement. And, like I said, the onus is on us now. We have to do those things. And, what we started off last year, we went young halfway through the year. You saw how we played at the end of the year. We were actually a better team at the end of the year. We played a lot more consistent baseball. We played better defense. We ran the bases hard. It seemed like we had better quality at bats. Like, there was just more fight in our game. And I think with a young group, both on the pitching and on the offensive side, you're going to see that every night. And that's what's going to be demanded of them. And a lot of these young guys coming to the big leagues, that's going to be their first taste, whether it was last year or an extension of this year as well. Those are going to be the expectations. And our guys aren't fighting that. They love that. They want that. And I think when you can obviously, combine the positivity and the excitement of coming to the field every day and then the work that goes along with it, and they actually embrace that, you're going to see a team that's fun to watch.
Yeah, it really was exciting to see, even sometimes just the tools, right? Maybe not even a complete game out of a guy, but just to get a glimpse of a guy's arm, his speed, maybe some power, whatever it was at times for certain individuals that came up. It was a hoot, man. I mean, it was really kind of exciting. What about the lessons learned for those young guys? Because I know so much of it's about, taking away from the failures and mistakes that happened and learning from that. How well, or what kind of aptitude, I guess, did you see in some of these guys who were also very toolsy?
Yeah, that was probably the most encouraging part of it for me. And you watch a kid like Sam Huff come up, and I'm not gonna, he looked like a deer in the headlights the first game or two. He's really excited. Has trouble catching the ball behind the play. You can see the bat quality wasn't there. It just you could tell. And then all of a sudden, you could see like a difference every game that went after that. And you could see he just started to understand, okay. And there was so much that went into the preparation to be able to get out there. And one of the biggest things that I think that I preach, that we preach as a group, is that pregame, that preparation that you do prior to games allows you to be free on the baseball field. And when you are a free athlete and you are talented, you will be able to do things at an elite level. And I think that that's where we're trying to get all of our younger players and older players, for that matter, everybody, on that same level. But it never stops. It never ends. So that's why when you talk about, I want our team to be the most, prepared team in baseball. We can control that. And when we are controlling the things that we can control, we will be more consistent. We will grow. We will learn. And so to see some of the steps that they took last year in a lot of their games was mind-boggling to me. Like, to see such a young group who maybe hadn't played above A ball come out and be fearless enough to perform. But I watched, we watched them prepare. The staff pushed them to prepare. You watch Leody Taveras, power shag in center field before a game. You're not surprised when he runs down a ball into left center and, makes it look easy, because you've seen it 100 times in BP that he does that against our hitters. So when you watch guys, with their bat quality, you watch them in the cage and what they're working on and how they're working on it in their mind, what they're focusing on, and then they go out and execute it. For Nick Solak to get under a sinker when he has really hard time, because he's got a pretty steep swing, he pounds those balls on the ground. But when he works underneath a Zach Greinke, sinker and hits a double down line, you're like, I knew he was working on that today. And so those are the moments, just like we have to be relentless in our pursuit of understanding how do we do that every day? What do we prepare on every day? And like I said, we have to be the most prepared team in baseball, even when we're great, because that's going to push us over the top and make us one of the best teams.
Kind of circling back a little bit to what we were talking about earlier, big changes. One of the first bombs of the offseason was this shake-up, reimagination, if you will, of the middle of the diamond for your team. Elvis is going to play a slightly different role. Rugi is in a position now where he may be looking at a slightly different role. We saw Isaiah Kiner-Falefa just blossom like incredibly last year. It was so much fun to watch. They're going to move him over to shortstop, which vacates third base again. And we know that there's some young talent coming up there. Where are we? Super TK 23 wants to know, what are the plans at third base now with IKF moving over to short?
So that's obviously with Kiner earning, in my mind, he really earned it. We're really excited about that. And it's not taking anything away from Elvis. Elvis has had an amazing career, and this is just a transition. And, maybe he at some point becomes that guy again. I don't know. And I've really challenged him on that. But we have internal options. I don't know if we're going to go out and get another option. Obviously, our long-term internal option, we have a few of them that are, coming. I don't think they're just about ready to start next year. Maybe at some point next year, the Josh Young, Apostle, those kind of guys, like they may be ready at some point. And, we may make that move. But I think to start the year, it's going to be a competition. I've talked to obviously Elvis about that, maybe him transitioning over there. That may be a spot where he gets to earn some everyday at bats. Rugi, the same thing. We want to see what Solak looks like at second base. I think for the last, year and a half, putting Solak in center, putting him left, putting him back at second, we want to see, I think his skill set represents the best at second base. Like, he got more athletic as the year went on. He worked really hard at it. We want to see what it looks like. And obviously Rugi is super talented. He's got to be more consistent. And I think, that's been said to him many, many times. And, listen, there's going to be a heavy competition in every aspect, come spring training. Even though we told Kiner he's our shortstop, he's still got to earn it. Nothing's going to be handed to anybody. Joey's, still got to earn his spot in record. Like, listen, some of these guys are ahead, obviously. But they're all going to, like I said, it's going to be a meritocracy, which I really like. I think it's good, it's healthy competition amongst teammates, and it's going to push everybody to kind of get the most out of them.
Okay, you mentioned a name, and we saw Apostle last year and got a little glimpse of some of the things he could do. You mentioned maybe Rugi getting a little bit of a look over there even. Son of the GOAT asks, what about at-bats for Josh Young? Can we expect, like you say, maybe not ready to start the year at third base, but maybe at some point at third base? Is Josh would you be willing to sort of pencil Josh in for at least, I don't know, 100, 200 at bats over the course of the year? What should we be expecting?
I would like to be honest with you. I mean, listen, I'm not going to make any promises to anybody, and I've actually talked to Josh about that. I'm not going to. We're not going to promise him anything, but at the same time, I just knowing the kid and watching him in instructional league, and just how much better he's gotten over the last, since we drafted him, it's pretty mind blowing to me to see the swing, how it works now. He's able to get to the pull side a lot better. The work that he's put in at third base, he's playing second base, and at the taxi squad. This kid loves baseball, and he's relentless. He's everything the reason why we drafted him, because he represents what we want as a Texas Ranger. His aptitude to learn is off the chart. So I would not be surprised if he pushes us sooner than later. But, if that means August, September, I don't know. But he's going to have to earn it. But if he does, I would like to see him. I mean, I think we all would. I think we all would love to see what that looks like, especially as we head into, what represents a more, 2022, 23, obviously maybe spending some more money and looking to the free agent market. We want to know what we have heading into that. That's why putting Kiner there was so important, to see what he looks like there over a full season. Solak at second base. What does this all look like? And we can evaluate our players, so we head into 22 knowing that offseason we need this or we don't need that.
We've talked a lot about hitters, position players, that sort of stuff. What about the pitching staff? What are your thoughts and expectations on what we'll see this year?
There's a lot that goes into that. I think that's probably been the most talked about thing. I think on our, from an organizational and staff standpoint, it's just, last year guys didn't get as many innings. Obviously the guys that were with us didn't get as many innings, and then the guys that weren't with us didn't get it. Some guys didn't get hardly inning at all. And they may have been, not even game innings. They may have been like live BP innings, which count, but not really. So it's going to be a tricky thing this year. Obviously signing Arahara, with Kyle Gibson and Jordan Lyles. I know Jordan didn't have quite the year he wanted last year. We're hoping for a rebound. Same with Kyle. Dane Dunning was a nice pickup for us. I know he pitched pretty well for the White Sox. But we have a bunch of internal guys. We have a lot of starter depth, but not a lot of experience. And we're not going to push these guys to be like the Lance Lynn, throw 110 pitches. Kyle Gibson maybe represents, the 100 pitch guy every 5 days, but outside of that, an Arahara maybe, we got to be creative. We got to try to get as much as we can out of the, Joe Palombos and, Colby Allers and Taylor Hearn. We're going to build him up to be a starter. So we have a lot of internal options that, but like I said, they don't have that much experience. So, and they didn't pitch as much last year. So we're not going to risk hurting anybody, but at the same time, we want to see what we have as we move forward. So just a lot of creative days where we may piggyback guys. We may pitch a guy 2 or 3 innings. Kyle Cody came up and did well last year, but he's not going to go 200 innings next year. It's just not going to happen. So a lot of bright side, a lot of upside, but we got to see what we got.
Okay, intrigued to hear Taylor's name there as a potential starter this year. So that's the plan, to stretch him out a little bit and see how that plays. Anybody else making that transition?
No, I'd say he's the one that probably sticks out the most. I think some of the other guys, we've looked at maybe, putting him, in lesser roles, like maybe 1 or 2 or 3 inning guys. I think that's just a better way to kind of ease them. I wouldn't say ease them into the big leagues, but just get the most out of them, build them up. And if one guy takes off and, he goes dominant for 3 innings, and we're like, hey, we want to, kind of like how Cody did last year, they can work their way to maybe throw in more innings. But I think Taylor, expressed his desire to start with us and with myself, and I appreciated that. And listen, we're going to go into camp with him, trying to get him built up. And if that role sticks, it does. And if not, we can always, dial it down a notch to kind of give him that multiple inning, reliever role.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So if you had to, this comes from Michael Grisby, pardon me. If there's one main thing, one primary thing you'd like to see this team improve on from last year to this year, what would that be?
I think on both sides of the ball. So offensively, I think we need to have better bats. Like, we need to be tougher outs. I think that there's a lot that goes into that, obviously. And, we talk a lot about, process stuff and, swinging strikes, but we got to be better 2-strike hitters. We got to use the ballpark. I think, we, get caught up sometimes in following the trends in baseball. We have a chance to set the trend in our own ballpark and make that home, that ballpark our home. Like, it's a big ballpark. Joey Gallo obviously has 40 home run potential. I know Rugi has, 30, 40 home run potential. But outside of those guys, we don't have that many guys with that kind of power. We need to spray the ball all the field. We need to, beat shifts, hit the ball, especially with 2 strikes. We need to be tougher outs. So I think overall, we need to have better bats, and make it harder on defenses, make it harder on pitchers, see more pitches, grind our bats. On the pitching side, we need to attack strike zone. I think that was probably the number one thing that I said, that we said as a staff at the end of last year. And we talked about it a lot. heading into last year, but we did not do a good job of that. We did not attack the strike zone. Our pitchers need to understand their strengths and how to attack the strike zone with their pitches. And when they do that, then we add on, obviously, the information of the opposing hitters. But I think our guys need to really understand who they are and know how their pitches work in the strike zone and do that. Like, they need to go out and execute that and not be afraid of contact, not be afraid of, like I said, getting ahead of hitters, because it's a main emphasis of ours. And we're just not going to stand for what we did last year. We just did not pitch to the strike zone last year.
Okay. Couple quick ones to wrap it up. You mentioned the ballpark, big ballpark, maybe adjusting a little bit, sort of the offensive style. Watching the postseason with the roof open, it looked like it shrunk in half, the ballpark at times. Do you have your brain around the Jekyll and Hyde of this ballpark yet, or do you think we still have a lot to learn on that?
We do have some to learn on it, but we did some study, and shouldn't say this. I was trying not to say it last year because I was hoping it would be an advantage for us to know, but the ball definitely goes a little bit further when it's open. So I don't know what that means as far as when it's 108 degrees outside and we want to hit. Like, I don't think we're going to open it because that's where we have the roof. But like I said, I think the ballpark suits our team right now perfectly. Like I said, we don't have 40 home run guys that are just going to outslug everybody. We have to play, I hate to call it small ball, but we have to do a better job of keeping the ball lower, using the outfield grass. Like, those outfielders have to play. Mike Trout plays on the warning track. There's a lot of open space out there that we have to take advantage of. Hitting behind runners, listen, everybody's shifting and doing all these things. With 2 strikes, we have to be able to hit the ball the other way on the ground. Like, those are free hits for our team. And our guys want to do that. They want to be those tough outs. So I think our ballpark is changing, our philosophy a little bit and how we hit. Our old ballpark was get the ball in the air to right center, it's a home run. It's not that case. It's not that way anymore. And listen, if you hit the ball on our ball, it goes. It's still fair. It's not like it's so big. It's you can't hit a home run. It's just, there are some balls that you hit pretty good that get caught at the warning track, which is fine. It's going to help our pitchers. It's going to help our defense. And the one thing I have to say, and I probably didn't say it a second ago, is our defense is going to be good. We are priding ourselves on defense. We have to have a good defense, and we will have a good defense. We have some Gold Glovers obviously out there. We have a couple that will be Gold Glovers. Our outfield defense should be one of the best in baseball. Our infield defense should be really good. So it's got to be a strength of ours, and we're going to work hard at it. We're going to get out there and work. And I know we do already, but there's some things that I would like to do. We would like to do as a staff to really enhance that and make that, something that we stand proud of every time we get on the field. We know we're going to be the best defensive team on the field.
The defense is really, really fun to watch too. Last quick thing for you from Bam Bam Billy, talking about, with fans hopefully coming back in 2021, do you think Globe Life Field will almost play or feel like a brand new ballpark again to you?
It will to us. I think the teams that played in the playoffs, they saw fans. We didn't. We never saw fans at our stadium. So I think it will feel new to us. It will definitely feel new to me, just because, I never sat on that in the dugout, with having fans behind me and, cheering our team on. And I think it's going to be loud. I think that's the one thing, you could hear it in the playoffs. I was able to go to a couple of the World Series games, and it was loud, a third full. So I think when it's a full, full capacity crowd, especially with our own fans, it drove me nuts to see Dodger fans, and, I love the Dodgers, but, I want to see some Texas Ranger fans in the stands and get loud, because it's pretty quaint. Like, it's a big ballpark, but where the fans sit is close to the field. And I think that that's going to be a huge advantage for us, because, we desperately missed it last year. We love our Ranger fans, and to hear them behind us, it would be really nice if that happens this year.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a perfect way to wrap this thing up, Woody. Man, it's good to see you. It really is good to see you and just talk a little baseball. And Happy New Year to you and Aaron and the kids. And really hope to see you soon.
Yes, I do too. Will do. Thanks for having me.
All right. There he goes. That is the skipper, Chris Woodward. We want to thank you guys for joining us. Of course, thanks to Woody, Jordan, Kyle, and our good friends at Comerica Bank, who have sponsored today's chat. And tune in every Wednesday night, 7 o'clock on Rangers Facebook for exclusive Caravan Chats with Rangers players, coaches, baseball personnel, maybe just people that you want to check in with. See the full 2021 Winter Caravan schedule at texasrangers.com/caravan. All right, we'll see you next Wednesday night right here, 7 o'clock. Matt Hicks will be hosting. We'll have guests Jose Trevino and Brett Martin. Thanks again for joining us.